that today's session is being recorded. Joe?
Okay, thank you, Autumn, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Saturday safety session. So to give you a little background on the Office of Emergency Management in Dunellen, it's an official department of the Borough of Dunellen. It's basically responsible for keeping Dunellen safe, the whole Dunellen community. It means residents, businesses, as well as visitors to Dunellen. It has a mandate to address that safety through 5 basic functions. We have prevention, which is basically preventing bad things from happening. And while we can't stop a storm from happening, we certainly can prepare to help minimize the effects of it. And in some cases, prevent other potential disasters or emergencies from happening. We also will provide preparedness materials. This means being trained and equipped ourselves to help in an emergency, but also providing you with information as to how you can prepare on a personal level for any emergency that might happen. Mitigation is another key function. Mitigation means taking steps to prevent the extent of damage that might occur in a storm. Something in this area, like the Flood Control Commission's efforts to minimize flooding, starting downstream in Bound Brook, then Middlesex, moving eventually to Dunellen as part of the mitigation process or responsibilities that, for something like that, OEM isn't directly involved with it, but there are other smaller local functions to help mitigate the damage that might occur. We're also responsible for responding in an emergency. That's helping to coordinate other first responders and help distribute resources during the disaster that might occur to make sure the first responders have the equipment that they may need. And then we're also responsible for helping with the recovery after a disaster, working with all the borough departments, the county, the state, and even the federal partners to help clean up after the disaster and help prepare for the next one. So we do have partner agencies that we work with. That includes the Dunellen Mayor Council and its administrator, and then all the first responders, Dunellen Police Department, Fire, EMS, as well as the Department of Public Works. We also work with Middlesex County, OEM, New Jersey State Police, which actually oversees Office of Emergency Management for the whole state. And then in certain aspects of it, we're involved with FEMA, primarily after the fact, helping get information together to submit documentation to FEMA for reimbursement. And then there are non-government agency organizations such as the Red Cross in New Jersey, in Dunellen. We have the Carroll Fund that will help people in emergency, provide some food and other support. The Community Emergency Response Team is a part of OEM. It assists OEM in several different ways. Our CERT is made up of a group of volunteers that are trained, professionally trained. We go through an initial training program and then continuing training, all to help ourselves, our families, our neighbors, and the community in times of emergency. CERT also assists in non-emergency situations. You might have seen us at parades and other local events, and then we help distribute preparedness material, whether it's at the Sunday market affairs or other events around town. The CERT volunteers serve as a pool to help with OEM functions in an emergency, and that includes providing support to and for first responders. We're not first responders ourselves, but we do support the first responders where we can and where they need the help. As far as one of the key functions of OEM, that mitigation, again, that helps reduce the effects of the harmful events such as flood, power outages, and other emergencies that might occur, disasters that might occur. On an individual level, we can't provide direct assistance with mitigation for individuals for their homes, but we can provide guidance on steps that can be taken. And one of those possible mitigation actions is to purchase a generator to have available when the power goes out. So for that reason, one of the Saturday sessions, this one in particular, we're going to cover some basics related to generator use. Over the last 10, 15 years, especially, more and more homeowners have purchased, or many are considering purchase, a generator, as we've had more frequent storms and more power outages as a result of those storms. And also there have been improvements in generator technology that allows for more products, more options, lighter, quieter units out there, and not necessarily less expensive units, but other improvements that help make it more feasible for a homeowner to purchase a generator, and business owners as well. Some things that you need to consider if you're looking to purchase a generator: it's what in your home needs to be provided with emergency power. This will determine the size of the unit or the power that can be generated by the unit. Sometimes it's just the basic features that you're concerned with, maybe lighting, of course, heating, particularly in the winter months, would be important as well. What's the unit's cost? There are different type units. The certain type is sold in particular are going to be much more expensive than the portable type unit. And there will be maintenance costs and needs that you'll have to consider as well. Even though the units aren't going to be used on a regular basis, they need to be maintained so they're ready to be used when needed. And then you need to have a place to store the unit if it's a portable unit, or a place to install a permanent unit that's not going to create any problems with your home, the neighbor's home, and is suited well for the location. And then you have to consider what's involved with the startup of a generator. In an emergency, you're going to be involved with other activities. You're not necessarily going to be thinking about, okay, I have to pull this unit out, get it all set up, make all the connections. That is what's going to be needed if you get a portable unit, where if you have a standby unit, it's there already, and it should normally kick in when there's an emergency power outage situation. So again, the two basic types are the portable and standby units. A portable unit is limited in the power that can be supplied. You can get very large units there, but generally those become more difficult to work with because they're larger, and if you have to reposition them for operation during a storm and getting them set up, it may take a little more effort. You need a place to store it to begin with, and when you deploy it at each emergency, you need to make sure it's in a good location. It's not close to any intake vents or exhaust vents for heating systems and so forth. You're going to require an on-hand supply of fresh gas to make sure it runs smoothly. If you have stale gas in the unit, then you're going to have a problem in an emergency. And then while it's operating, you're going to have to monitor it regularly to make sure it has adequate fuel, to make sure all the connections are working properly. But the cost of a portable generator is going to be less in general than the built-in generator. You might be talking about $300 on the smallest type unit that provides limited power, upwards of $1,200 and higher for the large units. It all depends upon what components, what appliances, what other devices in your house that you want to operate. The other type generator is a standby generator. Its term is used standby because it's ready to go when needed. It will be professionally sized, so the contractor will, based on your input, will decide what you need, and then it will be installed. Normally it will be connected to your natural gas supply. There are other options for it as well, but in most cases it will be natural gas. And as I said, it's ready to start automatically. You're not required to use extension cords or do any setup to get it going, and it can accommodate full house needs in many cases, depending upon the size of the house. So with a standby generator, the way it's connected, you can actually run your air conditioning system, the heating system, the lighting throughout the house, and other components, where it's much more difficult to be able to do that with a portable generator. As far as the sizing of the unit, again, it depends upon the number of appliances and other devices that you want to have operating in an emergency. But this chart is just a quick guide to indicate what might be involved. You can see the small unit and the rating for the unit and size based on the kilowatt hours. But you can see that with a smaller unit, you can only operate basic, maybe a small air conditioner in the kitchen furnace area. Your sump pump is a critical thing in a storm, of course, and then maybe some lighting in one or two bedrooms at most. Whereas the much larger unit, you can operate lighting in multiple rooms of the house. You can have a larger air conditioning system, a well pump, water heater, other things that demand electricity can be used. We're not trying to run through all the details, provide all the information that might be needed for you to determine the size of the unit. The type unit here, that's something you'll have to consult with a dealer, a salesman, or a contractor in helping to decide what the best approach is for your personal needs. With generators, however, comes some safety hazards. You have the potential for carbon monoxide. Yes, fuel generators emit toxic gases, including the carbon monoxide, which is a colorless, tasteless gas, but toxic gas. There are electric hazards. Generators, of course, create electricity. So if they're not installed properly, not maintained properly, it increases the potential for someone to be subject to a shock or, unfortunately, worse, injury. And then potential fire hazards. You're dealing with gasoline as well as electricity, so those both can contribute to a fire. As far as the carbon monoxide concerns, the Consumer Product Safety Commission reports that there are approximately 80 deaths per year related to portable generators. Portable generators can create a lot more carbon monoxide actually than multiple cars, especially in the wrong situation. You should never operate a portable generator inside a home, a garage, a basement. Even opening up a window in those areas is not going to be enough to prevent the possibility of carbon monoxide buildup. So, should only run it outdoors in a well-ventilated area. It needs to be away from any openings, the doors and windows in the house, or vents from your heating system or intake vents for certain components in your house. And also you have to consider your neighbor's house. You may not have it set up near your windows and doors, but certainly you don't want to have it close enough to your neighbors as well. And then, of course, you want to make sure you have working carbon monoxide detectors, as well as smoke and fire detectors in your home. As far as the placement for carbon monoxide detectors, they should be placed centrally on each floor level of the house and in close proximity to the sleeping areas of the house. And even an improvement on that would be to have one in each sleeping room or bedroom of the house. Placement of the carbon monoxide detectors is not as critical within the room as it is with a smoke or fire detector, because carbon monoxide has about the same density as air, so it's going to mix quite readily with it. But generally, the carbon monoxide detectors will be installed high ceilings, just like the smoke detectors. They need to be tested on a regular basis, of course, and batteries replaced at least once a year, unless you have a new sealed battery type. Their new units now have 10-year batteries in many cases, so they don't have to be replaced every year, but you still need to check those units every month or so. And when you're checking the units, you're actually just checking the alarm on the unit. You're not really determining whether that unit is properly going to detect a carbon monoxide situation. And we can only hope that's the case. But at the very least, you need to push the test button on the unit so you know that the alarm is still working. And all CO and smoke detectors now should be replaced at least every 10 years, unless the manufacturer calls for replacement sooner. As far as electric hazards, you're going to be using extension cords with portable units. That's where you have a greater concern as far as electrical issues with the generators there. And another concern is the fact that your generator is going to push back electricity on the power lines that might be down or disconnected some areas. If that happens, any utility workers, anyone nearby could be electrocuted. So it's very important that the generator be set up in such a way that it's not sending any electricity back to the electrical grid. And as far as the cords, several basic things to consider with your cord. You want to use a heavy duty cord. And of course, everything should be in good shape. They should be sized for the current draw of the connected appliances and devices that you have. They should be rated for outdoor use because it's basically where they're going to be exposed. And they should only be connected directly to devices that are cord and plug devices. That means where you can plug it directly into the extension cord. You should never connect your portable generator's electricity to your other receptacles in the house. I say never. There is an exception to that. If you have a special device, which we'll talk about in a minute, you can make that connection. Additional fire hazards, dealing with the gasoline. Storage and pouring of gasoline certainly creates a potential problem, whether it's for your generator or lawnmower or whatever. Gasoline should not be stored in house, and even should not be stored in the garage if at all possible, but particularly being attached garage. Detached garage, it's okay generally. Always use the proper container. Use gasoline containers are indicated by the red color. And you should never refill a generator when the motor is hot. So wait till it cools down a bit. If you have a standby generator, built-in generator that uses natural gas, it's generally safer than the use of gasoline or propane, but there's still a potential concern. There is a device that is standard when you have a standby or built-in generator. It's an option for the portable generator. That's a power transfer system or switch. This is a device that controls the electrical flow from the generator, so there's no backflow into the power grid. It will automatically activate the generator in emergency and provide power to the equipment that you've set it up to service. And it's something that needs to be installed by a licensed electrician, so it increases the safety issue with the use of your generator because it's professionally installed. And it is, as I mentioned, an optional feature for a portable generator. So standby generators, they can supply power not just to cord and plug type appliances, but actually to your whole house circuits based on the need and capacity of the generator. And once installed with that transfer switch, as I've mentioned before, they automatically activate during a power outage. So that's a big plus with the standby generators. The negative being the more costly unit. The system will also be set up for automatic test mode, so you know that it's going to be ready to run in an emergency, most cases. And it's going to be professionally tested and inspected periodically as well. And any standby generator, you need to initially install it where it's not going to present any problems. It should be near windows and doors and any other vents or intake openings that you have in your house. And the area around it should be kept clear of storage and vegetation. Now, it's a gasoline-driven motor, or excuse me, or natural gas-driven motor, so there's heat involved as well as the exhaust gases. Well, portable units are cheaper, and you're just going to use extension cords with them. You have to consider the setup time in an emergency. You have to pull it out of the garage or wherever, get it to the right location, get your extension cords out, run the extension cords in the house, and connect them to the appropriate appliances. So being only able to set things up that way, there's a limited number of cords that you can use. If you have a large generator, you might not be getting the full advantage of it. Using damaged or wrong size extension cords or potential hazards, of course. And then once it's installed, you need to make sure those cords are adequate and safe at all times. So to start up the portable unit, you want to confirm it's placed in an appropriate location, a solid base, so it doesn't vibrate excessively. Ideally, it should be a minimum of 10 feet to 20 feet away from all openings, and includes your neighbor's opening as well. You need to make sure you have fresh fuel for the unit. It's best to always use a stabilizer. And then if you know a storm is coming, particularly if it's expected it might be a long-term situation, if the power goes out, you need to purchase additional gasoline just in case. If the power goes out in the area, the gas stations might not be able to pump gas. And you can connect in different ways to your generator. You connect using individual appliances, individual extension cords, or you connect using a generator cord, which is an extension cord that has receptacles for 3, 4 individual devices at the end of it. So it's a heavier duty cord. So it makes it a lot easier, quicker to get everything set up. That's the only cord you may need to run from the generator into the house. And provide power to the household circuits, lighting throughout the house, or hardwired equipment, something that's directly wired into your house's electrical system, can only be operated with a portable generator if you install that power transfer system or switch I mentioned. So the power transfer switch includes everything you need to hook up the generator to your house and provides a quick switch over to the to the generator for use throughout the house. You'll have a control panel near your main electrical panel that will be set up to facilitate power to the devices and appliances that are needed. So when the power goes out, you switch over. In this case, it wouldn't be an automatic, but it'd be a manual. But once that manual switch is made, it's going to allow the transfer system to direct the current to the proper devices in the house. And if you have a portable unit, when the power goes out, this is what's going to happen. It's going to turn off all the circuits in the electrical panel, connect the generator to the transfer switch outlet. You'll flip the main breaker and start up the generator, and one at a time turn on circuits in the house for the house devices that you want to connect. So, one other thing to consider is the fact that, well, actually, there are two. One is the weight of the generators. That they're fairly heavy. You might be talking about 40, 50 pounds at a minimum, extending up to 100 pounds or even more than a very large unit. And all the generators make a lot of noise. The portable ones, in general, more noise than the standby generators. So it's a matter of balancing the noise versus the convenience of having electricity in your house. You know, where you place that generator can, affect the noise. There are certain things that can be done. You can have some shielding as long as you have allowance for the ventilation of the generator and clearance from combustible materials. And of course, consider your neighbors when you place that generator there. They might not have the electricity you have, but they're dealing with the same noise that you have to listen to during the operation of the units. So are there any questions about generators?
No.
Okay, I'm going to switch over to Autumn now. Maybe not. We have a little quiz here, some basic questions.
I'm sorry, I was muted. No,
It does
thanks, Jeff.
happen.
That was especially thorough. Thank you so much for all of that really great information. And now, as you've seen, it's an opportunity for you guys to participate a little bit. We're just going to pop up a couple of quick questions, and you get to unmute. Denise, you're already unmuted. So, true or false? Question 1. Carbon monoxide detectors are only needed to be installed in rooms with generators and heating units. True or false? Anybody want to take a stab at it?
False.
Great job. Clearly you were paying close
And
attention.
generally, you don't want to install them right near heating units or other units that might produce gases, because you'll get some nuisance tripping at some alarms at some point. They should be somewhat in the area, but not directly at your heating unit.
Okay.
Terrific.
And also generators shouldn't be inside.
That's right.
Yeah. 10 to 20 feet away from openings, apparently, I think is what we saw, either our homes or our neighbors' homes. Joe, you want to advance to the next slide? It's fine. So question 2, the extension cord from a portable generator can be plugged into any household outlet. True or false? Any takers? Talked about extension cords a little bit. Specific type.
I would say false.
The answer would be
False.
false, because your generator is going to be generating electricity. If you take that with an extension cord and then connect it to a receptacle in your house, that's going to push the electricity into your household circuitry, which also is going to push it back into the grid. So that's why you should never plug it into any household outlet. If you have a transfer switch set up, then you can utilize your household circuitry. Hardwired devices can be run in that particular case. But if you're just using extension cords, the portable generator, you should never plug it into the house circuits.
Okay, and for our final question, what does CERT stand for?
In case you weren't sure, we highlighted the answer.
I was going to say it's highlighted.
Try to make it a little easy for you guys.
Just emphasizing that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
D.
So thanks, Joe. Really, really informative talk. Folks, I just want to let you know that now that we've grilled you a little bit, we are moving on to our Q&A session, Joe. And this will give you an opportunity to kind of prompt us if you've got any questions for us, if you got any comments, any input at all, feel free to do so now.
Actually, I have a question of the audience. If Tom in particular, so if someone that's used generators, do you have any particular comments, suggestions, add-ons?
Yeah, the portable generators has a grounding attachment with, and you should attach a ground wire with a copper. You can use a copper rod to stick in the ground and attach the wire to the copper rod, but they should be grounded to earth. So before cranking it up, make sure the ground wire is attached to a copper rod. You can just push it into the ground, but portable ones need to be grounded.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into all the specific
Yeah, I
details of
figured
setting
that.
it up, but that's a good point that I will add to the presentation so we have it for the future.
Yeah.
Good point. Okay, anything else? It's always interesting to me to think about where the CO detectors need to be installed. And in relation to smoke detectors, they apparently don't all need to be, they don't both have the same installation requirements, but outside of sleeping rooms and sleeping areas. Joe, do you want to reinforce anything around the placement of smoke and or carbon monoxide detectors?
Well, smoke detectors ideally should be at ceiling level or within close proximity to the ceiling, but no close, put them on the wall. Generally, they say no closer than 6 or 12 inches to the ceiling, because that's sort of a dead air space. So ideally centrally located in the room, but as long as they're on the ceiling in the room, it's reasonable. And carbon monoxide detectors, they actually sell the portable units that you can plug into an electrical receptacle, which is typically only maybe 18 inches off the floor. But again, the carbon monoxide gas will mix with the air in the room quite readily, and it's, standards allow it to be installed pretty much anywhere in the room unless local codes require it in a certain location.
Hey, thank you.
There's also related to the generators, people should make a list of which appliances they're going to need to run. That's most important, like a refrigerator or something. And there's a formula, and I'll get it for you. I don't have it right now. So based on the rating of the portable generator, the kilowatts that you need to know, and need to know what each appliance that you're going to run. So they should make a little list. So if they're going to purchase one, they'll purchase the right size to run the appliances. So if they have one refrigerator, there's a rating on the refrigerator to determine the wattage that's going to need it. And then if they're going to run two refrigerators, a TV, and some other things, they can add all those up to purchase the correct generator. If not sure, they can ask an electrician too.
Yeah, that little chart gave you a rough idea of what size you might need if you had a refrigerator, furnace, a few things there. But it's best to be a little more specific based on the units you have and using some other guidelines to come up with a size. And Probably always better to be a little larger than smaller, just in case you want something else.
Joe, would you like to share that chart again? Just one more time so that we have a visual of it.
There you go. So for the basic units, 7 kilowatts or so, the size of the unit, that could even run a small air conditioner. So if you're not running an air conditioner, I'm not sure how many small units they have, but that's gives you some idea. So the kitchen, basically the refrigerator, the furnace, sump pumps, those would be the key areas. If you have a well, of course, you want to make sure you have well water as well. And then the others, other elements depends upon how much lighting or how much of the house you want to fully power.
Okay, great. Well, we are actually a little past our 11 o'clock hour. We're targeted to wrap up in just a few minutes at 11:30. But thank you, Joe, for a very thorough presentation, and thank you, audience, for your feedback and input as well. Thanks for engaging with us today. These sessions do allow us to do a deeper dive on a particular topic. Of course, we have our social media presence, and we'll touch on that in a little bit, where we will typically provide helpful hints or tips on emergency preparedness. And of course, you can probably connect with us as well at local events where we may have a booth or a presentation. But this forum actually gives us a chance to delve into a specific topic and allows you the opportunity to probe a little bit and ask specific questions about things that interest you. Speaking of which, feel free to connect with us and provide any input on topics that you might like to see covered at some point, and provided that we have experts on hand and expertise to cover those topics professionally, we'll be happy to do so. Okay, we're going to wrap up now with just a few closing remarks. Joe?
Okay. I was rolling through as you were talking there, but everybody has a role in emergency management to help with the community as well as help personally. Of course, you want to keep learning, be prepared, stay informed when a storm is coming, and consider getting involved, whether with CERT or other community organizations. As far as information, we'll be continuing these Saturday sessions every third Saturday of the month. There's some other websites that you can go through. The federal government has a lot of information related to preparedness, emergencies, disaster, recovery, and so forth. One of the sites is ready.gov, where you can sign up. You can even download an app from that site that helps provide information, guidance for disasters as well. And I want to mention the OEM and CERT websites there. So ready.gov, this is the webpage view. Just a lot of information is available there. And it includes information for senior citizens, those with functional access and disability concerns. And then constantly be preparing for the next event that might happen. Have family plans for emergencies, from fires to floods. Plan for your pets as well. If you have to evacuate, not only do you have to be prepared to evacuate yourselves, but your pets must come along with you. You technically, legally can't leave pets behind. Have a go bag for you and your pets, just the basic emergency equipment, supplies that you might need. And if you have anybody in your home that has special needs, you can register through ready.gov and other websites. And just listen to the warnings ahead of time. So again, OEM's and CERT's Facebook page is available. There's also Nextdoor for some local information and alerts, another website or a social media platform. And within the borough, you can register e-Notify. This is a program where periodically the town will send out notices, and if there's a special situation, including some emergencies, there might be some notice through that network. And then we'd consider NOAA weather radio.
Yeah, NOAA weather radio is something to have on hand in the event, particularly of impending storms or disasters. And you can always find more information about that on NOAA.gov. There's also information that we will publish on our platforms periodically about purchasing one of those radios, but you can obtain them anywhere. Any electronics store, any department store. So your Best Buys, your Targets, your Walmarts, they should all have some version of the same. We just want to encourage you to, if you have an interest in supporting the efforts of OEM and the Community Emergency Response Team, feel free to reach out to us. We obviously are, as Joe's mentioned a couple times, trained to help ourselves and our families and our neighbors. But you will have other opportunities to support these efforts as well that may be non-emergency related. So if you have any interest at all, feel free to connect with us via phone or email. Joe, you want to advance to the next slide? Again, Homer Mosley is our Director of the Office of Emergency Management for Dunellen. Bill Carlson, the Deputy Director and also Coordinator of the Dunellen CERT team. So thank you so much for your time today. So glad to have had you all with us. We look forward to seeing you again. Our next session will be on Saturday, the 16th of March at 10:30 a.m. We look forward to having you join us online. Till then, be well and stay safe.
Thank you both.
Welcome.